Hello, everyone. Welcome to enCRYPTID. We're talking Chupacabra tonight, and there is some kind of delay in the voice, Cal, now all of a sudden. You may want to turn me down. But I'm speaking to the one and only Cal, the New Jersey Devil. How's it going?
Hello, what's going on, everybody?
All right, that's much better. Real quick, a quick shout out to everyone in the chat. Hello, Justin, Tom Zambino. I saw Morgan in there earlier. Kimber,
Billy.
of course. Billy, I didn't see Billy, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, he was here. Billy was here too.
I see him. I see him now up top. But welcome. Tonight we're talking the Puerto Rican goat sucker. At least that's the origins I can find. Nolan's here too, also. But Cal, what do you have to say about this creature we're getting into? And do we perhaps have some kind of artistic rendering of it?
Right. So usually we start out with birthdays and stuff, but I want to just wish a happy Diwali to all our fellow South Asian followers and viewers. Today, we're celebrating Diwali, and it's hopefully we can do some kind of mythology about demons and stuff, and maybe mention that eventually one day, what the significance of that is. I'll tell you, Elise too as well, who just came in. But yeah, we don't have any birthdays today to go through, but we like to start out with another usually a segment before we get into Tour of the Lore. So today we're starting out with something called Cryptic Creations, where our friend Janine Devine at G9 Designs has her own interpretation of each cryptid we work on, or a paranormal thing that we work on that differs every week. So this week she started out with the Chupacabra, and here's her rendition of the Chupacabra.
Ooh, wow.
So it's pretty cool looking. Really I like it. And when she sent this to me, I didn't send her anything to go off of. This is just her own, I guess, what she did, her own research and stuff like that. And this is what she came up with, which works out really well from some of the videos I found online. So I'm really happy with what she did. There was no connection from what I showed her and what she came up with on her own. So this is great. I love it.
There's a stuffed thing that's claimed to be a Chupacabra that has these blue eyes that she's using here. So I'm wondering if she's using that for reference. But I didn't see the spines and stuff on the mounted thing. So she definitely took some liberties of her own, and I really like it. I like the little accent sketching behind it too. It's really cool. Looks great on a t-shirt, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so speaking of, we were in talks about maybe putting into in the G9 store or the OSP store, so you can put on some stickers or mugs or tapestries or shirts. So if you really like it, just give us some feedback if you really like her designs. I know she's had fantastic designs all throughout her time, everything she submitted to all our shows and all that stuff. So, she's been continuing with it, and I'd love to see it on designs. On products such as shirts and stuff like that. So let us know, give some feedback. Hey, TJ, who just joined too. But it's really cool. I like it.
For sure. All right, well, after our first segment, we usually open things up with touring the lore. And we're going to talk a little bit. This is a newer cryptid, but we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the Chupacabra and some different theories behind it, possibly.
So tour of the lore, our history for the myth, or cryptid in this case.
So, I've heard things from government experiments to a natural supernatural entity, or a supernatural entity, or even a species of aliens. Cal, what have you heard the most? Oh yeah, there's a little species of aliens. We actually have another picture of the alien version of the Chupacabra with all these little interesting tidbits from 1995. And has no ears, small holes for nostrils. It's pretty much looks like a green-gray with spots and spines.
Yeah, so actually, I had a lot of background on this too. If you want, I can leave that up actually. And first and foremost, the Chupacabra itself is a Spanish word, and the word actually means goat sucker. For chupar meaning suck, and cabra meaning goat, so you get goat sucker. And it's derived, from Spanish, obviously, but it first started out, the myth or the legend started out in Puerto Rico, where livestock was being attacked and the blood was drained from it, and mostly happened to goats. That's why I got the term Chupacabra. Some people described the animal that did it, witnesses have described it as a canid, so it's like a dog-like animal. that was affected by mange, which is like a parasitic tick that displays patches of hairless spots. So kind of like a rabid dog kind of thing, but not really. But it was first reported in 1995 in Puerto Rico, where 8 sheep were discovered dead with 3 puncture wounds in the chest, and they were completely drained of blood. So that's where like the story of the chupacabra actually started out. Did you find anything prior to that? Because I do have a story prior to that, but I was seeing if you had anything else besides that.
I mean, there's plenty of. I mean, I sent you a couple of pictures of some mythic ones that weren't called chupacabra before that. Maybe we'll save those pictures for when Justin sees the one who directed me towards them. So we could just save those to pull those up if we could do that possibly for when.
Yeah, and I have some background on that too as well that I looked up.
Right. Justin has again been hi Kimber. Justin has again been another cryptid for you. A great help this week, sending us some feedback and some research notes. He is one of our top investigators, that is for sure. So thank you again, Justin.
He's our field reporter. He gets out there and finds all the information for us, reports back to us, and makes us look good, I think.
Our watchtower.
Another thing that though is interesting is like the chupacabra like myth kind of really started in 1995 with that first report in Puerto Rico. But prior to that, they had very similar cases. So one of them was in 1975, where there was an attack that occurred in the town of Mona, and it was attributed to something called El Vampiro de Mona, which means the vampire of Mona, Mocha. So El Vampiro de Mocha is a vampire, the vampire Mocha, and people thought maybe it was a satanic cult that was performing rituals that drained the animals of blood and stuff like that, and had those puncture wounds. They didn't really attribute to an animal, but they thought it was maybe a satanic cult.
I mean, I've seen some of the cattle mutilations, and real quick, a bunch of people just came in and just want to thank you guys. Nolan, Ashley, Joe, you guys are great as always.
Billy's back.
I'm sorry, I thought I said Randall. Randall again, because I love you.
Yep.
And I know we said TJ, but I'm going to say TJ again.
TJ, Elise, Billy. Yep.
Yeah, all of you. Thank you so much for showing up. But I've seen some of the cattle mutilations, and it looks like I could tell the difference between a clean cut and like something being mauled, I think. Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, Jen. Jen and Angela, that means. They're both here. Hey, Jen and Angela.
And I don't know. It's like that stuff I feel like is more like cult-like, or at least someone trying to go out of their way. Needless to say, unnecessary to kill all that livestock.
We do have some people do confuse the Mexican hairless dog as a chupacabra, which we'll get to later in our Believe It or Not segment. But there are other dogs, like Egyptian dogs, that have been brought to Mexico that look like a chupacabra, but aren't like they aren't. Like I've seen them side by side, and they aren't like the chupacabra. And we're gonna get to that in one of the videos we have, because I have a lot of background on that. But another thing about the history of it, there's actually 2 depictions usually of the chupacabra. One, and we're gonna get to that when Justin calls in, because one of the pictures you have that you sent me that was really good about it. But there's usually 2 depictions of chupacabra. One's a reptile-like creature with leathery scales and scaly greenish gray skin, and has sharp spines or quills down its back. It's about 3 to 4 feet tall, kind of like in that video in the picture. Here we go. The picture that you showed me here says 4 to 5 feet, but it's like 3 to 4 feet tall, and it hops around like a kangaroo. The second depiction we have, which is more commonly what we saw in Janine's interpretation of it, and some of the videos that we have that are coming up, is that it's a strange breed of wild dog with pronounced spinal ridge, very large eyes, fangs, and claws. So it's either like some type of leathery reptile thing or a canid, like a dog. But they're very odd looking.
Now, here's the thing about mange, though, is I could see someone seeing something with mange and seeing it, or any kind of disease, and seeing it, making it look scaly. Like think about shingles, and I can't think of the. Scabies. No, scabies are insects. Psoriasis, like
or eczema. Yeah,
I'm sure like seeing that on a dog would be like, oh, that's a thing with scales. Like, if you weren't a vet or knowledgeable in that. I also think it's interesting that they're canines, because the only other like blood-sucking canine I can think of are like the loup-garou. They're like French werewolves that are also vampires. So that was the only connection I can make from like vampiric candid that I was aware of.
it's interesting. Billy in the chat says that he always thought a chupacabra was a hyena-like creature. So hyenas being very like scavenger-like, eating things after they're dead and stuff like that. Which some people said, like, you know, coyotes do that as well. So people confuse coyotes with chupacabras. I mean, a lot of people say that there's hybrid creatures out there. There are dogs and coyotes that mated and create this hybrid. That's what chupacabras are, because they don't look like a dog, they don't look like a coyote, but they're kind of a mixture, an odd mixture between the two. And we can get to that in a little bit with one of the videos we have coming up in the Believe It or Not segment, which I have some background on because I've watched various shows on that one clip itself. So I'm going to be I can't wait till we see that clip.
Right.
Anything else that you have for background?
For lore, I don't think we really have anything else except for those other pictures that we're saving.
Okay. So I guess we can go to our next segment. So here goes.
Here we searched the bowels of YouTube to pull up some footage, and we're gonna see whether we believe it or not, or maybe who knows. In no way associated with Ripley's.
It's just our own little thing. So here's our first video. We're gonna bring it up, and it's very clear video.
First off, I want to know how cute this thing is and how cute the bird landing right next to it is. There's no way this is like some monster. Like there's a bird that just like flies in like he's Bernie Sanders or something.
So the reason, the background behind this video is, I guess the person was coming home. They thought what they started recording because they thought they saw the chupacabra, which is what this thing is. I mean, what they think this thing is.
Look at the little bird.
And like, so I'm gonna play it again. And like, so they just pulled out their I don't know if it's a camcorder or a camera phone, and they started filming it because they thought this was a chupacabra. For me, this looks a lot like a dog. Pretty much a dog. I think it's one of those Mexican hairless dogs that they were talking about that's often confused for a chupacabra. In the next video, like we'll get to in a second, I think the snout is definitely, the head and the snout is very differently. It looks similar, but it's very distinct compared to this one. And I've seen that one like slow down several times for the next video that we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah, I agree with Ashley. It looks like a coyote.
Yeah, it could be a coyote. I've never seen a coyote. I know they're in my neighborhood nowadays, but I've never seen one. But yeah, that
here a whole litter of like 20 of them will like run in front of your car.
Yeah, Tom Zamino also says it's such a dog. It's definitely a dog.
Wow, such a dog. He is dog friend.
And no one says a chupadalgo. So everyone's pretty much saying dog. So for me, I believe it as in it's a real video, but I feel like it's a misidentification. I think it's a dog, a Mexican hairless dog. TJ saying it's a Siamese dog. So definitely, I think it's definitely a real video. Nothing faked about it. But it's
misidentification. The bird was added in with After Effects.
Yes, it was like one of those Snow White birds, or was it Snow White or Cinderella? One of those. Snow White, I think, right? Where the bird comes in and lands on her stoop or whatever. So our next video, this is the one that I've watched several times. I've seen it on other shows and stuff. So this is the one I'm interested in talking about. So here it goes. And this is taken from a police cam, a dash cam from a police car in the border of Mexico and Texas. So it's kind of hopping around, just like the thing. It's on 4 legs, though. It's hopping around, just like the one description said. But when it turns to the side, it has like a pronounced snout, like, which is a little bit different from the dog that we see prior to this.
Do you think you can pause it next time it turns its head, or on the replay?
I'll try.
Because like proportionally, and it's kind of hard because we are seeing the back of the dog, but still.
So I'm gonna play it again. I'm gonna try to pause it on the thing.
I think it's gonna zoom in again right before it.
Yep. I'll try to get it. It's gonna be really rough. Wait.
Play.
Nope. Sorry.
Too quick.
Oh crap! It's too fast. But
yeah, I don't know. Its face is a little bit big, but again, I think it's just a dog.
Well, no. See, the thing is, when I saw this video on the other show, they slowed it down, they paused it on that scene, and it was very different from a dog. And this similar animal was found dead on a like a ranch, and a woman kept the body, and they took the DNA, they took tissue sample of it. So it was a very similar creature, and they took a tissue sample of it, and they found that it had coyote DNA, but then it also had unknown DNA. So of unknown, because they have a whole database, and like I do this stuff in my lab too. When you cut with certain restriction enzymes, you can see what kind of DNA it is. And like, so they had coyote DNA, but then they also had unknown, and they have a huge database. So if they can't find it in that, that's kind of nuts. Obviously, it could be some
unknown or
some type of. It's not. It can't be. It's not completely conclusive. Not 100% conclusive, but like, yeah, it could be some kind of hybrid that we don't know, which has new new sequencing of DNA. That could be a factor because it's a new hybrid. But oh hey Geraldine, she joined too. I like just the snout and stuff, and like they brought like different types of animals to try to copy that video to see if they can mimic it and see if there's anything like that. They brought the Mexican hairless dog, they brought the Egyptian dog, and nothing was similar to that creature. So like I believe this more than I believe the last video, in my opinion.
With some of the like lore behind it being genetic tested or being a like an experimental creature, I can give it more credibility, because if government crossbreed that got out, then who am I to say that's not what it is? It does look odd, the proportions. It almost looks like it has like it was crossbred between like a coyote and a hyena, because it very much does have those like heavy like the. Trying to think of like a dog that just has like, it looks like a gator. You know what I mean? Like,
but like, would there be a hyena in Mexico? Like the border.
I'm saying if they are doing DNA sequencing, they're just trying. Who's to say what they're doing over there? I don't know. And hyenas have hair that look like quills, like along their back.
That's very true.
So,
I don't know. For me, I felt that was more believable than anything I've ever seen for a chupacabra. Especially compared to like the previous video and the next video we're about to show. I feel like this is the most conclusive. So I'm more inclined to believe it, especially because I saw all the tests they've done for this actual video itself. I'm more inclined to believe it. So I'm in for that one.
Listening to you, I will give it a who knows.
So I upgraded at least somewhat to who knows.
Yes. Yeah, you got me past doggo.
So Justin in the chat says that there's also a theory that chupacabra is some sort of alien pet, like you were saying earlier, that it could be an alien, and it's corresponded with your UFO sightings and cattle mutilation. So
I think the only evidence that I see that I'm going to believe is either something that doesn't look like a misidentified creature, like a species that we know already, or if I see it actually attacking cattle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to see, like, the behavior is what defines the chupacabra. So anything can look like anything.
Well, we do have one more video, and this is just to show you guys that there is very high levels of misidentification, and because this is very clear of what, in my opinion, this is very clear what we're going to see in a second.
I don't know who labeled this chupacabra and thought.
Right. So just because people get excited about certain sightings, this is a thermal image. And to me, I think Tom and I both agree about what this was. If you look closely.
It's a mavis.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think it's a mountain lion, because look at the tail. I feel like it's a mountain lion or something like that. Definitely a cat.
I wish Kimber was here. She's the big cat expert.
I think it's a large cat, and I think it's a mountain lion.
I think it's a little too stocky to be a mountain lion. I think it's like
got a short tail for a mountain lion too.
Kimber says that has a short tail for
short tail.
Tiger? That short tail's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I'd say it's closer to like a bobcat, but
that
it's
heavy
long.
face, and there's no the ears aren't big.
Imagine it was like a saber-tooth tiger, and we got one.
Panther?
Yeah, that could be it.
Well, maybe because somebody was like, the video was like, is this an escaped cat? So maybe it was owned and they had the trimmed tail.
It looks more like a female lion to me than any of those choices.
Our big cat expert says possibly a female lion.
Yeah, so in the chat we're getting a lot of that. We're getting clearly a lion, a feline, a jungle cat, a big cat, a cougar. So we're getting a lot of big cats. So, and as we saw, we already spoke about earlier, most of the time we had things say that they were we had people. We had accounts that it's a canid, like right, it's a canid for a chupacabra. So that's more of a cat or a feline in that case. So I'm not buying that. I'm out on that. I once again, I do believe it's a real video. It's a real thermal image video, but I don't think it's what they think it is.
Yeah.
Definitely more misidentification. I could believe the other one, the first video more being a chupacabra than this one at all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I'm out on this. I believe it, but I'm out believing it's a chupacabra.
Again, I don't know if there's evidence for me out there that I will believe until because it's like when you call something the goat sucker, I better see it suck some goats.
Yes. What is he? Nolan had a very funny thing. He thought that was Morgan's animagus form. So that could be very possible.
It's Patronus.
Yeah. His beard is definitely the lion's mane. So, and we don't know it's real. I've pulled on it, so we know it's real. So we ready to move on to our next segment? So I believe the second, first and third are cases.
Real quick, sorry. Just Kimber handed me some animal evidence. I was talking about like that really pronounced snout on that second video, and I was trying to think of the dog. Tell me that's not like that. Like that's the same proportions.
Yeah, very similar. But I think that the snout is a lot thicker. Like from the top of the nose to like the bottom of the jaw. I think the snout was thicker on the other one. But that is very similar. So
that's the thing I was trying to think of. But
what kind of dog is it?
That's a bull terrier, like Spuds McKenzie.
Bull terrier.
Okay. So if a bull terrier breeded with a coyote,
maybe.
Yeah.
I still like hyena better.
Yeah. I don't know. I still do believe the second video more than anything else. I think the first and third are very high forms of misidentification, but the second one I could buy. Okay, so ready? Should we go on to our next segment then?
Yeah. Well, no. You have a story, don't you?
Oh yes. So my story, I never. This is like a stupid story, but I never really knew about chupacabra until I got to college. I never knew what it was. One of my friends who lived next door to me in the dorm was Puerto Rican, and he told me about a chupacabra. I'm like, what is this chupacabra you keep talking about? And he told me about the chupacabra, and I started getting the fascination for cryptids around then. So then this kind of segues into the feature creatures, because it wasn't really a pop culture, but it was something that we used to do around the dorm. We used to be idiots and make little luchador masks. So like wrestling masks, and we put them on. We play theme music and run through the halls of our dorm and start beating up people, but not really beating them up like fake beating them up, like wrestling fake beating up. So my character was Venom, and his was Chupacabra because he was Puerto Rican and he liked the Chupacabra, so he was Chupacabra. Like, and it was really funny, and we just walked around, and that was just our side story for that. And that's the first time I ever encountered or hear about Chupacabra. So it was really pretty funny.
Well, I remember the first time I my first cryptid I researched was the Chupacabra, because we had a Spanish project. We had to do a presentation, and so I had to do a 5 to 10 minute thing in Spanish, and so I picked the Chupacabra, and that image of the alien that we showed earlier is the same thing I used for that presentation. I don't remember any of the original information because it was all in Spanish, and that's gone. But I think that's what kind of ignited my interest. So thanks, Chupa.
Yeah, we have so much stuff about alien life and stuff, and it could be anything, right? It could be any of these cryptids that we always talk about, right? It could be an alien life form and stuff, because we don't it being different from what we are. Anything different from us is kind of what we consider alien to us, right? And we don't know. We don't know what about extraterrestrial stuff, or even on our Earth, stuff that we haven't identified all species and stuff. So who knows what's out there? So it's interesting to see. We get to do any alien or any kind of stuff like that, but it could cross reference to stuff we said. So how you said you did a report on an alien kind of thing for the Chupacabra and what the pictures that we had, it's pretty cool to see.
All right, well, next is our featured creatured segment, where we ask Twitter, and we also, pick some of them out on our own. Some different examples from pop culture of the Chupacabra. A lot of them are from bad horror movies that I don't even want to waste time on.
Or video games.
No, there's some good appearances in video games.
Oh, I thought I'm saying where we found them. So here's the first one. I think comes from Billy, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Billy, one of my favorite DLCs ever, the Undead Nightmare from Red Dead Redemption. He says it's very difficult to find in the game, but you can find it. And that looks like a hyena.
Yeah, so yeah, it looks very much like a hyena. And it does have that pronounced snout as well. But those quills that you're saying, that go down the back, the spiny quills that go down the back, could be the mane of a hyena. So, it's cool that a lot of the cryptids we've talked about so far have been featured in Red Dead Redemption: Undead Nightmare. So that's pretty cool that I guess they're big fans of cryptozoology as well. So, and mythology as well. Our second one comes from Eric Ossenmacher, talking about Mucha Lucha, which I guess is like I think it's like a creature from Scooby-Doo, right? And
Mucha Lucha is a show about luchadors, like kid luchadors.
Okay, like yes, like wrestling, because like luchadors are the Mexican wrestlers, right? So,
but they still had like superpowers, and there was cryptids and stuff in it. So across the board is the one from Mucha Lucha, the Chupacabra from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and then that dumb Scooby-Doo movie where it was just the Mexican Bigfoot.
Also, all animated versions of the Chupacabra from different various movies. Animated movies. Then the last one's also animated, so...
Yeah, this was from Tom Zambino. He's like, it's not the same thing, but he knew the reference when Nibbler was referred to as El Chupombre. Can you pronounce that so I don't screw that up completely?
It's, where's it written? Yeah, El Chupanibre.
There you go. It sounds better when you say it.
El Chupanibre, yeah, so...
But, and I mean, I couldn't really think of any big examples.
Well, for me, yeah, so, like, I know, well, we have to also mention that we couldn't really find good pictures of it, but Joe Davis mentioned a few.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think,
it was...
Yeah, Shadowrun and Pathfinder, I think it was, in the game. Yes. So they were really cool. That he sent us some pictures, but we couldn't really get great pictures of our own to put in there. But yeah, so Joe, thanks to Joe for sending out a few. We say we get a lot from Red Dead Redemption. But we also do get a lot from Pathfinder and Shadowrun, right? So like Wendigo as well, and Bigfoot, I think we did also. So
a lot of role-playing games pull, and I think it's brilliant. They just pull from the lore that we have every day already, and then just twist it to their own ends. Like one of the I think it was in Shadowrun, it was the Chupacabra in that setting is also infected with the same disease as the Wendigos that he brought up in that episode, which were trolls, I believe, that got infected. The Wendigos, not the... Anyway, he'll correct me. But,
so I know we can go to our callers now, right? Or while we get to our callers, so Justin is actually confirming too that Shadowrun is great for cryptids as well. Trying to look at what Chupable, that we have. Chupacabra is one. Billy says that about something that he posted earlier. I remember seeing that on Twitter as well. We had Justin calling in. We have, I'm pretty sure Billy's calling. TJ's got a call, I think, about it.
Driving home right now, but he's trying to get in so he can call.
Okay.
I think he has a story, right? Doesn't he have a sighting?
Who, TJ? I think you froze.
Sorry, I'm doing three things at oned.
Yeah, no problem.
TJ,
so I'm pretty sure, because I spoke to TJ earlier, and I think he said he wanted to call in if he's not driving home. Tam Zambino's in a 5-mood. I guess that means the Yankees won. I haven't got the notification yet, but I think the Yankees have won. On a side note, now that we're talking about why, one of the reasons we waited for the second episode to be the Jersey Devil, after my namesake, since we started enCRYPTID, the New Jersey Devils are 5-1, one of the top teams in the NHL. After a terrible season last year, they are 5-1. So I attribute to this show. So Tom and I are doing good things for the world. Hey, Justin, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you? I'm just gonna turn you up on my end real quick.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm stuck on my phone again. It's been kind of a spotty day for power, and
Yeah, that's what I want to ask you first and foremost. How are you doing with the weather and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's the first of our seasonal massive storms. So, I mean, just kind of settling into the wet and the wind.
You're hunkering down, though? Everything's okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Got a little bit of flooding outside, but it's fine.
Man, you guys have it rough. Dodging floods one week, dodging fires the next.
Well, it's going to be a snowy year too, we anticipate.
Oh god. So
So,
what do you cabras?
well, I'm just not in it for the canids. Like anything canine just doesn't scream chupacabra for me.
I agree.
And the fact that it's almost a global thing. So we've got a number of sightings in Eastern Europe and Russia. A man in Russia claims to have killed one with a pitchfork. Um, which the hairless dog thing makes a lot of sense for me for stateside stuff. In Chile, there's a very similar thing. It preys on goats, and I just lost my note with the thing. I think it's called the peyuchin.
Yeah, Peyuchin, and it looks like a winged snake.
Yes. So it's also another shape-shifting creature. So the peyuchin was often described as a giant winged snake, like you were saying, but it would prey on small animals and livestock. There was another thing I sent Tom earlier this week. I believe similar culture. It was a god of some kind that they had, which was a similar winged serpent that they often fed goats to, I guess. So
In the Philippines, is that what you're talking about?
no, that's also in South America.
Okay.
In the Philippines, we get a lot of things like this. You've got the sigbin, which is a little hard to pronounce.
Yep, Sigbin, right there.
Yeah. So this guy here kind of fits more of the description that I'm familiar with for a chupacabra, minus the spines on the back. It also feeds on goats and livestock, but its most interesting feature is at night. It supposedly drains your blood from your shadow.
Ooh, that's cool.
So they also have something called the whack whack, which preys on you in your sleep and is a winged beast that flies around. And if you can hear its wings, which make that sound, you should shelter indoors.
No joke.
What if you're indoors when you hear it?
But a lot of the initial chupacabra stuff, in a lot of my readings, the most prominent thing that stuck out was its inception in 1995, where the first witness described it as a creature from the movie Species. So,
all right.
And
it's a reptile-like.
Yeah, it was definitely a scaly beast. It was reptilian in nature with spines in the back. And when it's compared to the movie, it's a little hard to kind of see where the true similarity is. I suppose just in the extraterrestrial nature, it makes some sense. But, it's one of those things I'm just not super willing to believe. Maybe something similar.
Now, I have to ask you, when you come across your research, have you found anything about grunches? Have you heard about grunches?
I did see something about the grunches, but I kind of left it alone. It was one of those things where it was just a little... I was already going to be bringing up a number of things which weren't quite the chupacabra.
Yeah, so what I'm alluding to is the grunches. It's actually from America, North America, actually, in New Orleans. So New Orleans is near and dear to my heart because I go every year on an annual trip. Yeah. And there's a place called Grunch Road, which is kind of like Lover's Lane. And people say that they see a creature there, which they attribute to being like a chupacabra or their version of the chupacabra. It's called a grunch. Yeah, and small creature. And I haven't heard any stories about it sucking anyone's blood, but they say they think it's like the American chupacabra. So, but no stories yet of it. There's not much livestock out in that area of like downtown New Orleans, obviously, but we'll see. I mean, I'm sure there is some. Being there, I see some animals around, but I haven't heard any stories about that. I mean, in New Orleans every year, I never heard about that. I hear about the voodoo and all that kind of stuff, but never about a grunch until I've seen this.
Nice.
Justin mentioned one of my favorite like deities to me in our notes back and forth, and I did send you a little like statue of that Cal, and it's a I'm gonna screw it up.
I thought grunches were like the Nestle bars of chocolate with crisps in there.
Spoopy.
I'm trying to bring up the picture right now. I just lost my feed for a second. Give me a second.
It's too much trouble. It's a giant bat.
Yep, I have it. It's coming up.
My favorite one though. That was cool.
There it is. There it is.
Ooh. That is not something I'd want to see in the night.
He looks like a glam rock band, like the guy, the front man.
He's got like the Freddie Mercury like
The wings.
wings. Yeah.
So where is this derived from? This statue and stuff?
Aztec, right? Or mine? It's Aztec.
I think it's similar to the Peyuchin in origin, so somewhere further south towards Chile.
That's cool.
So they would sacrifice animals to this deity, hoping
Yes.
that it would avoid eating their children or something, or what would be the basis behind doing it?
Something along those lines. So similar to the goat sucker idea behind the chupacabra, this one was identified as being very similar in name and origin to the vampire bat. So we see some, of course, like obviously the wings, especially in that thing, and not so much the face, but it definitely has bat-like wings.
It's interesting to me because I do tattoos for a living, and it very much looks like how they draw bats in Japan, like a Japanese version of a bat or a Chinese version of a bat. That's where I'm saying like the face and stuff and the wing structure is very familiar to how they do that style for bats in like Asia.
Absolutely. Another thing I wanted to mention about the chupacabra, some anecdotal stories. The most interesting one, a man in 1955 claimed to have seen something very similar after the 95 revelations about what the chupacabra looked like. He claimed that he had come home one day and had seen this thing in his backyard, somewhere in South America. I don't have an exact place. But he got the impression, he believed it was psychically communicating with him, that it wanted him to follow the creature. And, of course, he didn't, because, I mean, why would you? But it returned several nights and ate some of his chickens.
That sounds almost like a Will-o'-the-Wisp type, like, follow
Trying to
me.
lure you out.
Yeah, very kind of Fey-like in origin. The chupacabra has also been known to leap. So it could leap over trees and buildings, similar to kind of like
Superman.
Yeah, Superman. And some of the descriptions, again, we get were very similar to the hindquarters of a kangaroo, which I find it very interesting that this is the second thing now which has been somewhat kangaroo-like in nature.
Yeah. It's funny.
So what do you think of the chupacabra? You believe in it? You think it's feasible?
I am not so much a believer of the chupacabra. I definitely believe that there might be some type of wild dog or other thing. Cattle mutilations and its sightings approximate to them kind of piques my interest a little bit, and I believe I sent you some stuff that was in relation to Skinwalker Ranch, which had a similar sighting to a chupacabra, and a lot of cattle mutilations there. So as to the chupacabra itself, no, I'm not going to subscribe to it completely. But similar things, maybe.
What's your take on that second video that we were, or I believed in?
It was a strange beast. It definitely had a large head, but it looked like a dog to me.
Okay. Well, one of the depictions are people think it's a canid, so.
I kind of liked your idea on it being a hybrid. Like some sort of dog, coyote, or other mix. I like that as a concept. I think that kind of explains some things.
Well, so that's what science is kind of from the if you saw the creature that the woman had, like that was found on her ranch, and they preserved the body and the tissue samples they took, it looked very much like a dog coyote hybrid, which looked a lot like that video that I believe in. And the fact that it was inconclusive, having coyote in it and being inconclusive is very feasible. That could be the reason, the answer behind it.
I think the biggest thing, which is a drawdown to me on the notion of the chupacabra, is blood is a very inefficient food source.
Yes.
So, like a vampire bat, for example, has to consume something like 3 times its body weight, and it only processes a very small amount of that. So, a creature larger than that, which is as active as a chupacabra is supposed to be, I don't know that it could get enough sustenance from draining a goat.
Yeah.
Well, they always drain like 8 of them.
Well,
yeah, I do think it's interesting though with like the dog hybrid idea, because it's not terribly out of the realm of like things that could be real, because you can breed like lions and tigers together. You can breed like some big cats with domestics and breed them down so that you get stuff like Bengal cats.
oh sure.
So it's not ridiculous. And another thing that would validate that thought is that when you breed stuff like lions and tigers together, for instance, they have a lot of problems. And that could maybe be contributing to some of this like skin problems and hair loss that you're seeing with these dogs. Yeah.
Absolutely. Kind of a recessive gene.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Justin. Did you have anything you wanted to plug?
Well, you can always check me out for gaming stuff on Digital and Dice. Check out my Redbubble for my own photography, because guys got to make a buck. Other than that, find me on Twitter.
Twitter? Yep, there you go.
All right. Great show, guys.
Thanks
again. Thank you. We'll be sending you out into the field soon for our next topic, the Loch Ness Monster.
He's already out. He's already on the way.
Yeah.
He's doing his ghost event. Well, no, what's that? We'll get into what's next. I don't remember. Billy's next?
Billy's next, yeah.
Bill was saying maybe that they could be eating other things as well.
And we don't know their metabolism. We don't know how the turnover of what their sustenance is, what they eat, and how it turns over to their metabolism. So you never know. But like you did say, Tom, there's like 8 that have been drained at a time and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think we're just gonna have Billy and then close it up.
Okay. Should I go into what we have in the coming weeks now while we get Billy in?
I gotta get Billy.
So I know we usually around this time we do the Wheel of Weird, but we don't have the Wheel of Weird this week because we have our next 2 weeks already lined up. So we're really excited for the next 2 weeks. Actually, do I have that picture? I don't think I have that picture up yet, Tom, on my computer. I have it on my iPad. But I'll probably bring it up next week, and I'll be posting right away.
I can get a sample of it. 1 second. You keep talking.
All right. So we have next week coming up the Loch Ness Monster. That's what won the wheel. When it's on the Wheel Weird last week, we got the Loch Ness, and as you guys know, the last week's poll, the mermaids won. So mermaids will be taking the place of Loch Ness Monster on the poll. We won't have a poll this week, no Wheel of Weird this week, because next week is the Loch Ness Monster, and the week after that is our Halloween special, where we're going to be talking about our ghost encounters. So it's a special episode of eNCRYPTID called eNCRYPTID Encounters, and our first topic in eNCRYPTID Encounters will be ghosts. So we're really interested to hear your if you have any experience with ghosts or have any friends or family that have had experience with ghosts, please call in. So it's going to be a complete call-in show. It's going to differ from what we've been doing, where we have lore and feature creatures and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be direct, you guys calling in and letting us know, like, have you had any encounters? And I know myself, I've had encounters. Tom and Kimber as well has a lot of encounters down in Florida. So we're really excited for all that stuff. And we've had some people contact us also telling us that they have encounters. So we can't wait to get everyone on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a tweet soon, probably after we go off air. And we want you guys to respond. And that way we can start up a queue about who's going to be calling in. And once you guys respond, letting us know that you have an encounter, we'll write you guys down and have a queue for you guys to call in 2 weeks. So that's November 1st episode of eNCRYPTID, called eNCRYPTID Encounters, topic ghosts. I think Tom.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. My parents' house is insanely haunted, so I have tons
of... Will they be calling in? Because I know that they get on the show sometimes, so are they going to be calling in?
I'll have to ask.
We'll shop around for some spooky guests. But I think that's it for tonight, right? Or no, we're waiting on Billy still. Did he reply?
On Billy. Yep. Oh, and Jen, I know Jen's in the chat. I'm hoping Ashley said she's going to call in for that. I know Elise has a few stories if she can call in. I know Elise has stories about Loch Ness as well. Jen has some stories. Jen's family has also told me they have stories. Jen's dad, especially too, from Italy, where Tom is from, and has dual citizenship too. So maybe he has some stories from Italy as well.
It goes down.
I guess TJ's driving, so he can't call in for the Chupacabra. Maybe we could get that on, tweet something about that for what he has.
Hi, Kimber. Kimber's here.
Oh, while we have a second, maybe I could try to bring up that image, because Tom made a brilliant image for the cryptid encounters.
Down in Florida?
Yeah, there's definitely Chupacabra sightings in Florida. That's for sure.
I'm not Italian. I was just born there. Well, I mean, I'm technically Italian because I have citizenships. I'm like first generation Italian.
I mean, I could probably just bring it up on my iPad. Just hold up my iPad to the screen.
That's what I've been doing.
Oh, you want me to do it? I can do it right now. I have it right on my iPad right away. Here we go. So here's the image.
That looks pro.
With us on it.
You can see you guys.
Trying to angle you out.
Cryptid encounters, go.
I got the team behind Ghost Hunters to do that.
I mean, I just want us to do a real investigation one day. For us to go out and do an investigation.
Aren't you and Delisha coming through? Like,
We could do an investigation when you come up.
Yes, we are. I have to get my equipment from my friend though. I hope I can see him like next week. We're coming up like in 2 weeks, right? So it's not that far away. So I need to get my friend's the equipment from my friend next week.
We have a graveyard very close to the house that has some really old graves, like very old.
There's like the atmosphere is completely different when you step onto that side of the graveyard.
I feel like because I think I saw that in the videos when Morgan came, right? So.
Yeah, we bring all of our friends to the graveyard, so you would be going there anyway.
It's also different at night.
You know, it'd be really creepy if I go there and there's like a grave with my name on it. And I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
If there was,
all of the graves have all of your different names from the different shows.
I know, it's for all the different shows.
I would have already taken a picture and sent it to you if there was one.
I just want to have like, I hate Mickey, but I wish I had like Mickey ears with my name on it in Disney. I can never get that. I can never get a Coca-Cola with my name on it. Like anything of those things, I can never get my name on it, ever.
Yeah, Billy, he just needed you to give us your email, and then we could send you an invite. Hangouts is just being weird.
Oh, Ashley and Joe say we didn't go to the graveyard. That's because they liked you.
No, that's because we went out of town when Ashley and Joe were in town.
We didn't bring them to the graveyard. Now I feel bad.
That's because Tom was running away from Joe the whole time. He didn't want to end up in the. He didn't want to give him the advantage, the home court advantage.
You don't want to. He's running away from Joe. You're not going to bring him to the graveyard. That's all.
Exactly. Exactly.
I would never run again.
Oh, here we go. I got it right here. This is a good version of it. So here's a clean version of it while we call Billy. Let me just bring it up. Just saved it, and there it is, guys. Clean version of the ghost encounters.
He took all the naked ladies out of it. This is the clean version. Censored. Go to Patreon to get the uncensored version.
Ghost. Woo!
Hold on.
Hey, all right, Billy put it in the chat.
Billy, just click this link. Why have I never done this before?
Whoever you want can click the link.
But I can delete it afterwards, and I trust them.
Now, thank God we don't have any trolls, which could be a future episode of enCRYPTID, in the chat today because they'd be clicking the link and calling in.
We had some on OSP the other night.
Sure did.
I did notice that. I did my best.
It's not.
See, the thing is, like, I don't know if they're trolls right away, so I don't want to lose a viewer, and then I gotta wait to see how you react, and then it reacts.
I was telling Tom like 3 messages.
Well, the thing was
that I knew that person was.
The thing was, when you had told me the first time, I thought I did, and then he kept posting like, "What is going on?" Like I thought it was a bad horror movie.
Billy's never had this much trouble calling in. Billy's like always in like that every time. He finds ways into the conversation somehow. So I don't get how this is. There he goes. There's Billy. Where's his?
Finally, yes. The internet cannot keep me from telling the truth.
Yes, Justin. Yes, that person. Go ahead.
Anyway,
I was about to say, where's Billy? Your beanie blended in with the background for a second, so I was like, "Where's Billy's beanie?" But now there it is.
Yeah, it tricks you. Also, there's like a bunch of lights, so yeah.
You look good.
You guys look great as well. So we're talking El Chupacabra tonight. So yes, because that is how Billy from Billy and Mandy says it, is the Chupacabra. And I'm pretty excited for this. Mostly because I love Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, and it took forever to find that thing, but I did it, and I got one, and yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
Nice, man. I love that expansion. I know we talk about it every time.
Was that your first encounter with the Chupacabra, or have you heard it before you played that game?
No, it actually was Billy and Mandy, and then I did not know much about the Chupacabra until I played Undead Nightmare, and then I did some research into it, and I always thought it was just like a dog-like creature, not like this flying snake-ish creature. I didn't know there were different types of chupacabras, essentially.
Well, they're like they're saying that they're not saying they're chupacabras, but they're very similar to like creatures that suck blood and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's very vampire-esque, you know, with the sucking of the blood and stuff. And I'm just looking up these articles, and there have been many reports about chupacabras, many people that have photographed evidence, and there is a particular wound by the goat neck. It's like a very certain spot, and there are a lot of them. So I always thought that was weird, but kind of awesome.
Nice, man.
And yeah, it looks like a hairless dog, but it's just really cool looking.
So do you believe in the more hairless dog thing, or do you believe the reptilian one? What do you think? What do you think you're?
I'm seeing a lot of evidence to more of the dog-like creature. There have been a couple stuff like it being like a reptile, and I'm not gonna disclaim that. Like, I'm sure somebody has seen something, but I'm going more with the dog stuff. I'm also looking up, apparently some eyewitness accounts said it entrances you much like a vampire, and that is how they get to suck the blood. I don't know. I'm just looking this up.
Well, that kind of goes hand in hand with what Justin was saying about the like the telepathic link. Maybe like they have some kind of way to lure and prey.
Yeah,
and the story that from 1975 about they thought the initial story was a vampire from that town. So, a lot of connections between these lores.
For sure.
Yeah, I always saw them depicted, like, when I was a kid, I remember they would sell, like, a lot of Chupacabra t-shirts and stuff, and I always saw them depicted, like, that one cartoon that you sent with, like, the spotty body and kind of, like, an alien lizard-looking thing with spines. That's how I always saw drawings of it. The dog thing's more recent, I feel like.
Yeah. Either way, it's been a very popular myth, and a lot like Eric Ostenrocker. The Scooby-Doo movie, it's a really stupid movie, but I had no idea that was a chupacabra. I thought that was just Bigfoot, just because it's a giant hairy dude. And yeah, sorry, Eric, but I'm going to actually say that chupacabra is real. I'm going to base it on the amount of evidence, the overwhelming eyewitness accounts, and whether both kinds exist. I don't know. I'm open to that, but I'm definitely saying the more dog-like chupacabra exists, and the more reptilian one, that is not out of the question.
It could also be a habitat thing where it is. It's an environment, if it adapts to the environment. So in certain areas, it might be dog-like, and certain areas, it might have to be reptilian because it might have to go into water and stuff like that. So who knows?
Yeah, because a lot of the dog-like stuff... Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. I was going to say a lot of the dog-like creatures appear in a lot of Latin countries and a lot of countries that are not very aquatic. Let's just say that. A lot of dry land.
Yeah, and like I'm from Florida, for instance, so that would go with going with the more reptilian type thing. I mean, like there's lizards all over Florida, so maybe it's just trying to blend in.
There's alligators as well.
They do have the lizard man or whatever it's called in Florida. So
Yeah, for sure. All
right,
right, well,
Billy,
we're getting to that time. Billy, did you have anything you wanted to plug?
You can just find me on Twitter at bbusterbill. All the B's are capitalized. I just did an article for the Odd Shaped Channel blog that you can look up. I put a link to the blog website in my Twitter description if you want to find out where that is. And I got an awesome ghost story to tell when that episode airs, and I can't wait. And we get to finally talk about Nessie, so
yes,
I'm very excited.
Hopefully our UK viewers will be able to stay up for that one, and I'm sure they have some great stories.
Yeah, Nolan
especially.
Yes, Nolan especially.
Anyway, have a good night, guys.
Yep. See you, Billy.
Everybody.
All right, well, that's this episode of enCRYPTID. The jury's still out yet again for another mystery. What do you think, Cal?
I don't know. I feel like we're becoming like more and more believable things where it could be this. I feel like this one is more scientific, as in like a hybrid or something like that with certain things. So I feel like we're getting more and more believable from the weeks as we've been going on. But when we go to next week, that is also scientific, kind of being a plesiosaur and all that. But we'll talk about that when we get to the mythology of next week. But yeah, so as we know, next week is Loch Ness, and then 2 weeks from today is our Halloween special on November 1st for our ghost stories, our live episode where you guys all call in and share your ghost stories.
Ooh, it should be a spooky one. Also on Odd Shape Panel, we're starting to rotate our Odd Shape plays. We just released Animal Crossing today. Be sure to check that out. It was super cute, and Kimber plays it. The other two are me and Randall. One of them is a Nuzlocke, which is like hardcore version of Pokemon Sapphire, and we're also playing the 1997 version of Fallout. There'll be a new Pokemon out tomorrow, and Fallout after the day after that, and then after
where Tom
that,
kills everybody.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a peaceful episode. Well, the next episode, we'll just.
You can read the comments if you want to hear Joe grilling Tom about how he should be playing Fallout.
He live comments in the chat, and or in the comments. It's my favorite thing.
Eric A. Telling me everything I'm doing wrong on Animal Crossing. So
yeah, you can also check out the last Odd Shape Panel or the OSP and Chill, because they live grilling of them playing that. Not live playing it, but their comments about how Tom plays that game. So check that out as well.
Look, I applaud what Eric did. He got frustrated with watching my Nuzlocke Pokemon and then started his own. Good. Now I'm going to go comment on his.
And already Joe's giving to you in the chat right now about Fallout, so it's never ending.
You know what? I think we're just going to stick with Animal Crossing.
Oh, no.
Okay, fine. We'll get rid of Animal Crossing.
What the
But yeah, check out all of our other great content. There's going to be another Space Time Rewind this Friday. And
For the 10th Doctor.
Yes.
He's on my shirt because I recorded that earlier.
Going on? Oh, and a new Mormon Zone next Tuesday.
And our Halloween party for OSP is on October 30th, a couple days before your guys' Halloween special here.
So that's going to be a spooky week. Make sure you tune in. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment. It's YouTube. It's pretty Cal Save may have nothing.
Okay, so yeah, so for me, we have a new Aftermath coming up on the 23rd, where Delisha and I will be breaking down Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, the Raw brand pay-per-view. And then once again, next week you can catch us here at enCRYPTID talking about the Loch Ness Monster. And 2 weeks from now, we have the Halloween special. Before that, like they said, they had the OSP Halloween special, and on the same day right before OSP you can catch Gamer Grudge, where we have our Halloween special. So there's a lot of Halloween stuff going on, so get excited for that. I don't want to forget one more time to bring up our Cryptic Creations, thanks to Janine Devine. So at Janine Devine at G9 Designs. So if soon to be found, this design soon to be found in the stores, so check it out. Give it a like and stuff, because I'm going to probably post this picture as well. So this is her depiction of the Chupacabra, or interpretation of it. And then next week, I'm hoping we're going to get one for the Loch Ness Monster as well. So you can find me at Viren Jadeja Vu. I'm the Jersey Devil.
And you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Odd Shape Panel.
I'm at Kimberbatch_OSP.
And thanks for joining us, Kimber.
Sure.
Kimber Cabra.
I had makeup on, so
yeah, might as well. But thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We hope you have a great night and that you can join us on the next episode of enCRYPTID next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And have a great night.
Thank you, guys. Go Devils.
Thanks,